I was still in the womb when she decided who I would be. Not my dreams, not my personality, not my future, my body, my sexuality, my role. She didn't wait for me to speak. She didn't wait for me to grow. She wrote my entire life before I ever took my first breath. And the moment I refused to play that role, everything fell apart. If you've ever been controlled by someone who claimed they loved you, if you've ever felt trapped by expectations that weren't yours, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because this isn't just a story about pain. It's about the most powerful kind of revenge, taking your life back. From the day my mother learned my biological sex, she had a plan. She didn't say it outright at first. It slipped out in comments, in jokes, in expectations that felt too heavy for a child to carry. I was going to be strong, handsome, desired. She talked about the man I'd become like it was already decided, how popular I'd be with women, how my worth would be measured by attention, dominance, conquest. I didn't understand why those conversations made my stomach tighten. I just knew I felt exposed, like something private was being discussed without my consent. Other kids were encouraged to dream. I was encouraged to perform. The hardest part wasn't that the boundaries were crossed. It was that sometimes they weren't. One day she'd act normal, respectful, almost loving. The next day the comments returned. Crude jokes, sexualized language, remarks that didn't belong anywhere near a child. It trained my brain to question itself. Was I imagining things? Was I overreacting? Was this normal? That inconsistency becomes its own kind of trap. Because when harm comes wrapped in moments of calm, you learn to doubt your instincts. There are moments that don't fade, no matter how much time passes. Hands lingering too long, being called her man, looks that made me instinctively pull away, jokes that landed wrong, comments that made the air feel heavier. And the most disturbing realization of all, I was the one setting boundaries. I was the one backing away. I was the one calculating what was too much. I was just a kid. At night, I replayed everything in my head, not because I wanted to, but because my brain was trying to make sense of it. When a child has to protect themselves from the person meant to protect them, something breaks quietly inside. I didn't grow up angry. I grew up anxious, always scanning, always bracing, always unsure if the next moment would feel safe or invasive. I learned to disconnect from my body, to treat it like something separate from me. Because when someone projects their expectations onto you long enough, you stop feeling like your body belongs to you. When I came out as trans, everything changed. Not because I changed, but because her fantasy broke. She didn't listen, didn't ask how I felt, didn't want to understand. Professionals didn't matter. My mental health didn't matter. All she saw was the collapse of the version of me she'd built in her head. She told me I was ruining my life, that I'd embarrass myself, that I'd regret it forever. Those words didn't come all at once. They came slowly, repeatedly, like water dripping on stone. And it worked. I became anxious, depressed, guilty for existing. To everyone else, she looked normal, polite, concerned, reasonable. That's what made it so effective. Because manipulation doesn't shout. It whispers. When control starts slipping, it doesn't disappear. It adapts. You can be gay, she said. Just don't be trans. As if my identity were a negotiation. The moment I changed wasn't dramatic. No yelling, no confrontation, just a quiet realization. I didn't need her to understand me. I didn't need her permission. And I didn't need to keep protecting her image. I started writing everything down, not to expose her, not to accuse, but to remind myself that I wasn't imagining it, that my experiences were real. The revenge wasn't loud. It was deliberate. I stopped explaining myself, stopped arguing, stopped seeking validation. I set boundaries and kept them. I shared my truth with people she couldn't manipulate. Therapists, support groups, chosen family. And something shifted, because control only works in silence. And I wasn't silent anymore. She tried everything. Guilt, anger, denial. None of it worked. Her words stopped landing. Her influence faded. And for the first time, I saw it in her face. Confusion, fear, loss. Not because I hurt her, but because she no longer owned me. That was the moment I won. Revenge doesn't always look like destruction. Sometimes it looks like healing. Sometimes it looks like truth. And sometimes the most painful consequence for someone who needs control is realizing they've lost it forever. If the story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe to The Telling Collection of Stories. And tell us in the comments, what does taking your power back mean to you? Because the quietest revenge is living freely.